I'm going to build a big, huge Viking style axe, and I'm going to see if it can chop through wood, even though it's made of mild steel. This video is sponsored by the mobile game Vikings War of Clans, and that's why I decided to build a big Viking-ish style axe instead of just a normal wood chopping axe. And I don't take sponsorships unless I try the thing out and actually enjoy it. And I've been playing Vikings for a while now, and Vikings just went through a huge update, and now the game is massive, and it's got tons of options for how you play. And it's similar to strategy and RPG games from the 90s and the early 2000s, like Command and Conquer, which I loved, which probably also why I like Vikings. But the game gives you the option to choose your own playstyle instead of just taking a linear course. You can play defense and build an impregnable city, try to master your diplomacy skills to rule the world, or just get together with your friends and build a huge army to destroy enemy castles. I personally love the strategy and trying to be efficient in the game, but what I really like about it is the artwork. The game looks fantastic, and if you use the link in the description, you'll see for yourself. Just play it for 5 minutes and see why 12 million other people are playing this game. But I am literally the only person in my clan. So you can help support my channel today from downloading Vikings from the link in the description below. Look me up as JAIRUS of all, obviously. And by using that link, you'll get a free protection shield and 200 gold so that you get a successful start, and you can actually help me out in my clan that I'm currently alone in. But now it's time to take this chunk of 3/16 scrap mild steel that I got and see if I can turn it into an axe. Time to get dirty. Ooh, I gotta make a template first. I have an idea in my head of what I want to do. Let's see if I can put it on paper. Alright, this is going to be 2 pieces, and this section here, this whole area, is going to be 1. I'm going to bend these 2 pieces like that to wrap around the handle, and they're going to get welded on those seams there, and then they'll get welded on this seam. Micro Cthulhu weld stuff together, why can't I? That took longer than it looked like, but now it's time to weld. And if you've watched my channel before, you know that I don't really care about how my welds look, but this time it matters if they're strong, because this thing actually has to hold together so that the axe doesn't fly off of the handle. So that's why I did so much prep work, and I'm going to cut some bevels, that way I can get some deep, actual penetrating welds, and let's see how good I can actually do. Bevels, bending, welding, barbarian, bulldozer, battle axe! New plan, more work. So cutting grooves in these things worked and allowed me to shape it to the axe handle. And this was my practice one, which is why there's so many cuts. And I should have done the same thing on this one, because you can see where the creases are. Now I'm gonna fill those gouges in with weld and tack these together and see if I can get it shaped the rest of the way, because it fits on, but it doesn't fit well. This project is taking immensely longer than I thought it was going to. If I had a torch, I wouldn't have to do any of this, but I don't, so here we are. Probably gonna go get one though. Seems like a good investment. Close enough. Time to weld this thing together. That's a lot of weld. The moment we've all been waiting for. Pretty good compared to my normal performance, you know? Oh, she's heavy. This thing is gonna be awesome. It just has a blunt edge, and I need to do a little bit more welding and blend it. It fits so straight. Honestly, after all that trouble, I didn't think it was gonna work out that well at this point. All right, I'm gonna do those welds, blend it together. Maybe I'll put a design on it? I don't know. Okay, I know I just said that, but I just cleaned it off with the wire wheel. The welded parts look so awesome. I'm gonna cover the whole thing in weld. So this project just turned into the welded axe, or the MIG weld, whole bunch of MIG weld axe. It just looks too cool. I can't bring myself to grind it down. I love the way welds look. Some of them are good, but a lot of them aren't because I'm not a professional welder. But I don't care. And I'm gonna put weld all over the entire thing because it looks too cool. It's gonna take me a while, but you get to see the finished product right now. All right, I just finished grinding the blade. This might be my most favorite project that I've ever made. This thing is absolutely beautiful in an ugly way, you know? This might not hold the edge, but that thing is massively sharp now. I'm gonna sharpen the point on the back and I'm gonna hit it with the wire wheel, make it pretty. I know I said it before, but this seriously is probably the most beautiful thing I've ever made. I don't know if it does it justice on the camera. Time to put the handle on. And I'm gonna finish this before I put the head on the axe. This handle I got is totally untreated, so I'm gonna stick some tung oil on it, and then I'm gonna hit it with espresso stain. That way it's not too dark, because if you put the stain on after the oil, then it's, you know, pores are filled, kind of. Anyway, that's my idea. Let's see if it looks good. I don't know why everybody always wants to oil everything only. Nobody ever wants to use stain anymore. It's like unpopular. Here we go. Man, this thing looks so good. This is not the right way to mount an axe head on a handle, but it's the way that I'm gonna do it because it fits, but it doesn't fit very well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a bunch of epoxy all over everything from this 2-part PC7 stuff, stick the axe head on, shove the wedge in that came with the handle, then I'm gonna warm it up because this stuff sets in 2 hours if it's at 125 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm gonna push the wedge in more. This stuff basically sets up like concrete, so there's no way that this thing's gonna come off after I do this. It's just not the acceptable way to mount an axe head. So, but it's gonna work. And there's no way this thing's gonna come off because it's gonna be filled with epoxy. This is crazy. This thing fits so well. I think I may have made too much epoxy. I made way too much epoxy. I was afraid there was going to be so much room. I mean, it looked like there was a fair amount of room. So I made a lot of epoxy to make sure that it was filled because, you know, I didn't want to have to try to pull it out and add more and do it over again. I haven't even put the wedge in yet, but I'm about to. It's crazy how aligned this thing is. I just tapped it down on. It's got all that weld stuff in there. It lined up perfectly. Even a blind squirrel gets a nut. There's so much epoxy. This thing looks so friggin' cool. Oh, it's so awesome. All right, I'm gonna let the epoxy chooch, and I'm gonna drive that wedge in a little bit more. The epoxy's all set up, and it's totally finished. This thing looks so awesome. I love this. But I still need to see if it's functional. It's time to go chop some wood. I really don't want to, because it's made out of mild steel, and I don't want to mess anything up. Oh well. It can always be fixed. It's only metal. Oh. I gotta get the thumbnail first. Get that thumbnail. Man, this thing looks cool. There it is. Put some text right here. Alright, time to chop some wood. And then the battery in my microphone died and I didn't realize it, so I filmed the entire portion outside trying to use it without any audio. Not like it matters that much because on the first swing, the axe blade bent. Because it's made out of mild steel, and I ground it way too thin. But since it was mild steel, I just hammered it back into place, and then I gave it another shot. So I turned the piece of pine 90 degrees so I didn't hit my previous split, and I tried it again, and it went straight through it, and it didn't damage the blade at all. After that worked out, I decided that it was time to use this for what it's meant for. It's shaped like a wood cutting axe, not a splitting axe, so I decided to try to cut some wood with it. And I used it on a big piece of oak. I figured if it was going to fail, it would fail on this. And at first I wasn't swinging very hard because I didn't want to mess the blade up immediately again. But after I gave it a few hits and it was cutting really well, I decided that I'd give it a little bit stronger of a swing, and that's when it failed and bent like crazy. So I decided there were two options. I could hammer it back into place and leave it as a prop, or I could put some high carbon steel on it by cutting the blade off and welding something on. But then I thought of a third option. After this being a pretty big failure and not getting audio on all those scenes, I figured I'd go ahead and redo it. And I looked at a normal axe and it's way thicker, so I'm gonna grind this down so that it matches. The difference is crazy, as you can see right here. And this axe is tempered high carbon steel, so obviously this thing wasn't gonna survive. So I'm gonna grind it down and give it another shot. All done. Time to do this. And it's snowing now, so that's great. So let's see if I can split this piece of oak with it. Might take a little while. That beard might be good for war, but it's not good for splitting wood. She's doing great now. I've got a lot more confidence, so I'm not afraid to swing this thing. Time to try the log. This is the real test. For that being a big piece of oak, didn't do anything to the blade. If you're gonna make an axe out of mild steel, don't grind the blade too thin, because it'll bend. I didn't really mean for there to be a lesson in this video, but I guess there is. If you're gonna try to build something, do it however you want. And if it doesn't work, don't be afraid to fix it, because I seriously thought this was a total failure after the blade bent. And I knew I could hammer it back, but I knew it wasn't gonna be usable. And I didn't think that just shaving some off and making the angle way steeper for the blade would make that much difference. But I swung on this thing as hard as I could, on the log and on the other pieces. It's still sharp. I don't know how long it'll stay sharp, but I'm sure it won't stay sharp as long as something that's made out of high carbon steel. But it doesn't really matter to me. I'd rather use something that looks as awesome as this than some regular axe from Walmart. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to sub if you like this video. And if you're a patron, I'm gonna be doing some patron-only live streams soon. See you next time. Time to get a wedge.